Hello, Gen Blue. We are thrilled to be with you today for our first ever virtual Gen Blue experience. We've got a wonderful agenda for you today, and I hope you take full advantage of it. If this is your first Gen Blue experience, you are in for a treat. It surely won't be your last. And if you're a veteran Gen Bluer, welcome to our bold new approach, befitting, I think, our bold new look, feel, and strategy. Now, we can't wait to get together with you all in person at Radio City Music Hall in October 2021. And we look forward to learning from this virtual event to augment our 2021 in-person experience to extend that learning, networking, excitement, and empowerment well beyond the walls of the hall. Speaking of empowerment, that's our mission, to empower our people, all of you, to leave your mark on the world of real estate. I love our mission, in part because it really speaks to our industry, the most entrepreneurial industry in the world. No other sector even comes close in my book. In every real estate transaction, entrepreneurial agents and brokers work with and coordinate business owners in fields as diverse as law and carpentry, accounting and inspections. And there's only one quarterback of that team, the intrepid Coldwell banker agent, guiding each client home. Home, after all, is one of our core values. Home means so much. It's more than a place, it's a feeling, it's an experience, an immersive experience. Recently, hundreds of millions of people around the world found themselves immersed in their homes like never before, making the value of home more widely and deeply appreciated than ever before. Indeed, if 2020 is anything, it's the year of home. Now, for me personally, home has taken on a new meaning this year. I've fallen in love with my home, and home is where I've reconnected with my family. You see, throughout my life, I've called literally dozens of cities and towns home, on both coasts and most places in between, and I've enjoyed them all, and Coldwell Banker serves them all, but they've always been fleeting. And for the past 20 years or so, I've traveled for work just about every week, often flying to a different city every single day to be with you. It was tough to be away from home and away from family, but I get my energy from the field, from all of you, and honestly, I miss you. I do. But some things about the last 6 months have been great. For the first time since my wife and I were high school sweethearts, and for the first time ever for my kids, I've been home every night for dinner. No more texting quickly before the plane door closes or stepping out of a work dinner for a quick FaceTime with the kids. I've been home, IRL, and it's been pretty amazing. Honestly, it feels kind of like a Coldwell Banker commercial. Spring break plans were canceled, so my wife and kids built a yurt in the backyard and called it a resort. Our yard has been an amusement park and a community venue, a front yard hammock and seesaw, a backyard playground, basketball hoops, our brand new little free library turning over inventory faster than the hottest real estate market. Our home even played host to an all-American wedding on the 4th of July. I was honored to officiate, and it was a spectacular day. Now, this is a home that we've truly made our own, a home that's sheltered us from the storms and kept us safe, that's comforted us in uncertainty and given us now some of our fondest memories. And like every good story of boy meets home, my story of home started with a Coldwell Banker agent. I know the prevailing wisdom is that all home searches start online. And of course, my wife and I were searching online. But like every smart couple, once we got serious, we got an agent. 5 years ago this month, we were introduced to Roderick Logan. Roderick, welcome to Gen Blue.
Thank you, Ryan. I am so excited to be here at my first Gen Blue and the first virtual Gen Blue. All of this is so cool. Hello, Gen Blue.
Roderick, you helped my family find a wonderful home. A Coldwell Banker listing, in fact, so shout out to Denise Flanagan, Coldwell Banker Morristown. And we are eternally grateful for your help and support. In fact, we're reminded every morning of the assistance you provided because, like many buyers, we never turned off those Coldwell Banker listing alerts that you set up for us. So we get to keep an eye on the market while seeing your smiling face in our inbox every morning.
You know, Ryan, you said it was 5 years ago this month, but actually, I know the exact date. It was September 10th, 2015. What I've always done is I put next to the client's name the date that I first met them and your incredible family. And that way it reminds me to follow up with clients in the future, just when I think it's about time that they're going to consider to make a move.
Now, Roderick, we had a blast looking for homes. We laughed, we cried, more than once. We found a terrific property that honestly, my wife and I didn't even want to go see, but you assured us that it had everything we needed, if not everything we wanted yet. Maybe now it does. And you were exactly right, of course. But we also know that not everyone is as fortunate as my family and I were when we were finding and ultimately buying a home. Indeed, equality of opportunity remains pretty elusive for some in the housing market, at least in America, and I'm afraid around the world that's somewhat true. And in fact, recently, not too far from where you and I are right now, in a place that's near and dear to your heart, Long Island, there was a pretty widely shared news story that revealed some kind of disturbing behavior by some real estate professionals. It showed some outstanding service by some, and the story also highlighted some service failures and even, honestly, some discrimination that many of us thought was a thing of the past. And you, too, shared that news story was pretty motivating for you and eye-opening as well, but in a different way, a really deeply personal way. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, Ryan. When I first saw the news story, it made me think about the time my family had migrated out from the Big Apple, aka New York City, or what we New Yorkers call the city, out to the suburbs of Long Island. At age 8, my mom had decided that she didn't want to continue to raise her family with us playing in concrete parks and riding our bikes down the city streets, dodging all the buses. She wanted to get us out into the fresh air. So with that, the home search began. So every weekend, what would happen, me and my dad, my mom didn't come with us, keep that in mind, we would hop on the Long Island Railroad and we'd go out to Long Island and look for homes. And like you said, interestingly enough, one of the towns, or the town that we bought that first home in, was one of the towns that was actually featured in that news story. So it made me start to think, like, of all the towns on Long Island, why did we end up getting our home in that town? What happens is so many people, just like what we did, we hired a real estate agent and he would pick me and my dad up at the train station and he would take us out to look at homes, but always in that one particular town. Then it hit me that that town really didn't have the features that my mom had said she was looking for, open space and a more rural feel. But what it did have is a lot of people who looked like us. So then I started to wonder, were we directed or even steered to a predominantly Black town because maybe that's what the real estate agent thought we had wanted, being a Black family? Then it made me think also, were we given less choices or treated differently because of our skin color or our race? I don't know. But I do know 12 months later, what we ended up doing is we sold the house and we moved out to a different part of Long Island, more rural, more open space, more of the features that my mom had said she had wanted. And this time she came along with us. We weren't making that mistake again. But what it did is it gave me pause, and it also motivated me to ensure that everyone was given equal opportunity of choice, and consistency of service was always delivered for everybody.
Well, I think, Roderick, I appreciate you sharing that story. It is powerful, and so is your commitment. You're definitely ensuring equality of opportunity for everyone. And you did that as an agent. I witnessed it firsthand when you expertly and properly handled in a fair housing compliant way, some of the questions that we had. In fact, like when we disclosed to you that our top priorities were finding a truly diverse community and a truly diverse school district for our kids. It's a delicate conversation to handle, and you did it expertly. You're continuing to do that with your office. You're now not just a top performing agent, now you're a top performing manager handling the wonderful Montclair, New Jersey office of Coldwell Banker. And your agents are equally dedicated to these principles. And they're extremely supportive of you, including your work with different groups like the African American and Caribbean Employee Association, or ACE, within our parent organization, or now you're actually chairing the New Jersey Diversity and Inclusion Council for us. Thank you again for agreeing to do that. I very much appreciate it.
Ryan, you definitely don't have to thank me. This is my pleasure, and honestly, it's my passion. But I will say thank you so much for that shout out to Coldwell Banker Montclair. #awesome. You guys know I always say awesome. But I'm going to say that the commitment around not only fair housing, but diversity and inclusion overall that I see by so many of our incredible agents and our employees is truly inspiring. And I have to say, when I discuss diversity and inclusion with other agents who are interviewing with different brands, considering which brand they want to affiliate, they've told me time and time again that, you're the only brand or you're the only office that's ever talked about diversity and inclusion. And in addition, they've seen all the work that we've been doing around that same subject, and it caused them to want to affiliate with Coldwell Banker, and that always makes me so proud.
Well, I'm certainly thrilled that they're joining us, but I wish we were not so unique in exactly that way. I wish more of the industry were as committed and I'd say as principled, really, as Coldwell Banker. I think you and everyone have heard me reference Coldwell Banker's founding principles of honesty, integrity, and service a million times, I know. But they're so powerful, they're so grounding, and for me personally, they're so inspiring. I honestly think those principles should be the principles of the entire industry. But frankly, we as an industry are not quite yet living up to those principles fully when it comes to fair housing awareness, training, and as we've heard, sometimes practice.
Yeah, well, but you know what, Ryan? I really do appreciate that you recognize that there's work to be done, because that is true. But I also feel that with every challenge, first it starts with identifying the need and then doing the work. So for that, I applaud you for calling it out. I applaud you for calling out the need. And I also applaud so many great people at Coldwell Banker for actually doing the work. As a leadership group, I really feel that Coldwell Banker has laid down that foundation, to use a real estate term. And I also feel now, as leaders of the real estate offices, leading thousands of incredible agents, have the opportunity and we're empowered to do the work, to build off that foundation that has been laid down. And that empowerment of senior leadership, giving the office leaders that power and that control to create the culture, has really been awesome. We've set up mastermind sessions where we've had open conversation around diversity and inclusion. We call them, agents of change. In addition to that, we've partnered with local industry partners who support diversity groups out there. I feel that now, though, we have the opportunity and the challenge of creating more of a unified national approach to ensure consistency and so that nobody falls through the cracks.
I completely agree. And as the industry leader, which Coldwell Banker absolutely is the industry leader, we're the company that even brought the code of ethics to real estate. We have redoubled our efforts in some of the ways that you mentioned. So I appreciate you sharing some of that. And in some others as well, like we updated our fair housing handbook. We created from scratch brand new fair housing training, and that entire program we've made available to every Coldwell Banker agent. Indeed, we feel so strongly about the principles and practice of fair housing compliance that we made that particular training program available to the entire industry. Beyond that, since last year, our team's been working hard on a program that would eventually become our inclusive ownership program, designed to support the growth of really our next generation of diverse entrepreneurs from traditionally underserved communities, growing companies, diversifying leadership in our industry. And ultimately and truly, this is the real test, the real goal of everything we do: increasing home ownership and equality of opportunity among some of our most underrepresented populations. We can do that. We can have that impact. And actually, the origination of the inclusive opportunity for ownership program involves you, Roderick, because the very concept of that program was born from some of the experiences that you and I had and the entire team at the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, or NAREB, conference in Atlantic City last year, back in 2019. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that experience?
I'd be more than happy to. Ryan, I have to say, attending that NAREB conference, or NAREB, was truly an incredible experience for me. Not only had I never been to such an industry conference ever, but I'd only learned of NAREB a few months prior to that. So what happened? Myself and some of my colleagues, other office managers, Natalie Carpenter of Illinois, and Sandra Stewart of Virginia, we were sent out to represent Coldwell Banker at the national conference. So we had set up our booth in the vendors hall, and we set up our booth alongside mortgage lenders and home inspectors and other real estate tradespeople. And we had a goal. We set a goal to make our booth the place to be. So we came down fully prepared: literature, handouts. We set up a photo booth. We even had music. Hey, shout out to DJ Sandra for bringing her boombox. It was awesome, right? So needless to say, our booth quickly became the place to be in the vendors hall. But everyone saw all the excitement and they came over, wanted to take pictures, and it really gave us an opportunity to demonstrate our culture and to tell our story. But what quickly became a running theme of people who were coming over to the booth, they kept saying things like, "What was Coldwell Banker doing here?" at the NAREB conference, right? They didn't think that such a big national brand had such a focus around supporting diversity and coming to the NAREB conference like that. So then we started to look around to the other booths. There are about 40 in the hall. And of all those booths, there's only one other brand that was there, and they didn't have any realtors. They didn't have any heads of diversity, heads of HR, let alone they didn't have any CEOs. You were the only CEO who was there. And we all walked away from that conference with so much. I personally gained a better sense of the challenge of running a Black-owned business, but I also gained a huge sense of pride in being part of such a celebration of diversity, seeing so many successful business people of color lifting each other up and supporting each other. Now, since that first NAREB conference that we've all attended, we've worked very closely with NAREB. Coldwell Banker has done an incredible job supporting diversity, particularly with the president, Mr. Donnell Williams, who coincidentally, not only is he a fellow New Jerseyan, he actually lives in the same town where you proudly call home, Morristown, which again, coincidentally, is the same town where I first started my real estate career. So it feels like everything comes full circle.
Yeah, it does. Well put. Well put. Definitely full circle. And I have to say, our first NAREB conference was amazing. It was amazing. It was a revelation. It was a lot of fun, a lot of learning. But hearing some of those NAREB members share that they just didn't even expect a global brand to be there at the annual conference of the single largest Black trade association in our entire industry, that was like a gut punch for me. You and I and the entire team, the dream team, as you call them, we came away from that event committed to change a lot. For instance, many of the NAREB members, they seemed to feel that Coldwell Banker was an amazing and legendary company, but not a home built for them. And that killed me. So fast forward to 2020 NAREB conference in Las Vegas, where Association President Donnell Williams, as you said, was kind enough to give us some main stage time to unveil our new program that would become the Inclusive Ownership Program. And the conversation around Coldwell Banker at that conference was suddenly very, very different.
You can say that again. It definitely was very different. Suddenly, no longer was it like, what is Coldwell Banker doing here? Now it was more like, hey, there they are. There's our Coldwell Banker friends. And that felt great. By now, the dream team, as we call it, had grown with two more incredible managers. We brought on Donna Reed of Florida and Vanessa Simmons of Ohio. And I have to say, Ryan, when you announced that program for diversity and ownership, now Inclusive Ownership Program, the entire convention erupted. You know, we had people coming up to us from all over the country who were saying things like, really? So Coldwell Banker is going to help me open my own franchise? Who can I talk with? And you were buzzing around the room and talking to everybody about it.
It was an incredible event. It was an incredible conference in general. And we had so many people come up to us. Some of those firms are some of the newest firms in the Coldwell Banker system now. We have dozens of others who are working their way through the program and process right now, too. And they are just a fraction of the literally hundreds of people who reached out to us immediately following that announcement. We probably had over 100 the same day that we announced that program. It's a bold program on purpose. It's the most powerful in the industry, bar none. And it was powerful enough to get many of the best business owners in the industry to pay attention, to reach out, and to explore how they could build on the Coldwell Banker platform. And speaking of the Coldwell Banker platform, Roderick, another way that you're involved here, you are currently working with a technology and data team to develop and conceive and roll out and mature a number of different pilots and programs and services, some of which aren't even announced yet. You are a successful agent, now you're a successful manager, leading through the chaos of change management and harnessing the power of these tools and services for your agents. I wonder if you could share a little bit.
Okay, Ryan, no, I'm not going to give away everything right now. We have an entire Gen Blue. Hold your horses. We got an entire Gen Blue conference to learn all the details. But here's what I'm going to say. It really is incredible and exciting to see how Coldwell Banker is able to leverage its strength, its size, and technology to develop tools truly with agents to help manage and help them grow their business. That data team that you talk about, they are awesome. They have connected with my agents. They sit down, they talk, they listen, and they really try to understand the needs of the agents. And then they couple that with machine learning and artificial intelligence to build innovative and proprietary tools, making Coldwell Banker primed to continue to be that leader that you were talking about of the entire industry, with not only the best tools, but the very best agents around.
I agree. So now I'm going to try and restrain myself and not launch you into an entire new section where we talk about the the new technology and unique services, true services delivered by thousands of Coldwell Banker employees to the entire network, like no other brand, like never before.
Yep.
But I digress. As you said, there's a whole conference for that. I won't get up on my high horse, but I do think that was a perfect way to wrap up this opening and really kick off all of the GenBlue experience by focusing on what and how we're delivering for our agents and brokers today and into the future. So, Roderick, I really, really want to thank you on behalf of all of GenBlue for sharing some of your experiences with us and a lot of your excitement. So thank you so very much. I think our network now has a really great sense of where we're going and exactly why.
Well, thank you, Ryan. It's always a pleasure catching up with you, as well as sharing all the truly awesome work that is going on by so many incredible Coldwell Banker employees and, of course, the agents. So I am so excited for the next couple of days. See you later, GenBlue.
I'm so excited for the rest of the conference as well. Thank you once again, Roderick. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Coldwell Banker is absolutely the company of firsts. We're accustomed to driving the change in our industry. And now, once again, we are changing, raising expectations. We're raising expectations of broker owners on what a brand should deliver for them, from value to values, from tools to support. We're raising the expectations of agents regarding the depth and breadth of the value that a broker who has the right partner can drive for the growth and success of their business. And we're definitely raising expectations of service of all communities, including historically underserved communities. We're doing all of this by providing each and every one of you a platform of principles, technology, tools, learning, and service that will allow you to wow your customers and leave the competition in the dust. This is the mark that I want us to leave on the world of real estate. And we are doing exactly that. So, GenBlue, thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for showing us the way. Thank you for always leading by example, including through the mayhem and miracles of 2020 and well beyond. Thank you for raising expectations, which has become a Coldwell Banker tradition and will be for generations to come. Speaking of raising expectations, I'd like to introduce someone who insists upon and, in fact, delivers on exactly that every single day. I am proud to call her my partner in driving network excellence. She pushes me, she teaches me every single day, and if you know her, you know that's exactly true. Ladies and gentlemen of GenBlue, I give you Coldwell Banker Real Estate Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, Liz Geringer.